Hello, everybody. I'm worried because I don't see any chatting. If anyone is here and can see me, would you please text, put a chat comment in and let me know, because I'm a little worried I might have mislabeled the show. Because it says 3 people are here, 5 people, but I'm not seeing any chat. Let me see. Live chat. Let me see. I don't know. If you can see me, let me... Oh, yay! Crafty Pat is here. Thank you so much. Because I've been looking around going, what have I done wrong? And I just wasn't sure. But I'm so glad to see you. Oh, it is so good to be back. Thank you so much for giving me this break. I needed it. And I had a regular doctor's visit, and then I had my colonoscopy a couple days ago. And I've never had polyps before, but I had some this time, but it's a good thing I went. I hate doing the test, the prep for the procedure. The procedure was pretty easy, and but now I had 8 polyps removed, and they were fine. But if they stay too long, you never know. Hello, Bonnie. Hello. So, boy, oh boy. So if you have a chance to get your colonoscopy, please do. Because what they told me is, I'd never had polyps before, but once you have a polyp, in 5 to 10 years, it can become cancer, which is not good. So, hello, everybody. And if someone, I don't know if someone can, but if someone could let the group, well, no, I told them yesterday I'd be here. Okay, so just wanted to say, got our Ukrainian flag right there. We support Ukraine. I want to get this war stopped. And so let's cross our fingers. But I've got lots of things I have finished up this last 2 weeks. And I've got a new project already halfway done that I can't wait to share with you. The pattern is free. It uses scraps. Couldn't be easier. So, I've got a lot. And then, I signed up for one of Mancuso's virtual schoolhouse classes because I like to support them on this. It means so much to people like me who don't have a venue nearby, because I would have to drive hours away, stay at a hotel. I can't afford that. That's expensive. So by them having these virtual classes, which are so easy to take, if you can get to on Zoom, you've got it. And I can't wait to show you what class I'm taking. I just wanted to say I'm so happy it's June, because that means cherries are in season. And oh my gosh, I love these. And Mark went this morning and got me another big bag, because I'm frugal. I only buy them on sale. So once that price goes up, nope, it's done. It's like this spring, he kept saying, I'm so tired of eating asparagus. And I said, don't worry, because at some point they're not going to be in season anymore, and then they're too expensive and I won't buy them. He was like, okay. But when they're $1.79 a pound or $1.99 a pound, I feel like I have to get them. In my earlier life, I could never afford asparagus. That was just such a treasure. And so now it's like, ooh, if I can get them on sale, that is my thing. I just remembered something. I'm going to grab this before I forget. Because, I am at the stage where I'm like, what was I supposed to do? But anyway, okay, so I've got so many exciting things to show you. And my design wall has a bunch of them. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I have a feeling a lot of the country has had what we've had. I know Bonnie said they had a week full of rain. Oh my gosh, so much rain. And it's caused the slugs to just destroy almost some of my plants. I'm hoping there's enough left if it can dry up. I wanted to buy some slug bait to put down, but I have to be careful what kind I get so the dogs don't get into it and the chipmunks. And it was going to be $19 a bag, so I went, forget that. Is that Mare here? Crafty Pat. Marsha's here. Hi, darling. You're no longer getting notified. Darn it. I don't know what that's about, but I am finding that more and more because I belong to a bunch of YouTube channels. I've subscribed and I'm not, the bell thing's not working. But, oh no, some cherries that were so sour. Yeah, I got lucky because these, in fact, these were what are they called? The kind they don't use the chemicals and stuff on, but they were $1 a pound cheaper than the others. I've been real lucky because I know what you mean. You can't handle that. Oh, those sour cherries are astringent. But these are sweet cherries. They're so good. I keep saying to Mark, you sure you don't want to bite? He goes, I don't like cherries. And it's like, I try to remember not everybody likes what I like, but it's like, but they're so good. So poor Mark, he puts up with a lot. But, so far as okay, so it's been rainy. I haven't been able to get my garden in. I was finally going to have the time, and it's just rain, rain, rain. And I don't like to walk on the garden because it compacts the soil when it's this wet. But I'm hoping by Thursday it's going to be 89 degrees here. So I told Mark, got to get in the garden Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, get in there. And we're planning on making a big pot of spaghetti. He's going to use some ingredients from his father's old Italian recipe. With a name like Master Nardi, you should be able to make spaghetti. So anyway, you had trouble getting on YouTube. Oh, yeah, everybody was talking about that. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm glad. Oh, hi, Miss Joe. Miss Joe, did you get the envelope in the mail? I'm hoping the mail got through, but I was finally going to remember. I was given a card to Chick-fil-A, and I thought, I will send it to Miss Joso to thank her for being moderator. So it took me like a week and a half to remember to send it. I tell you. Get on the ball, Deb. But anyway, so I went to, we had a bunch of rain, I've got a lot to catch up with. I go out and look at my plants that are just suffering. Just a wee bit Italian, exactly. Not yet. Okay, it should be coming to you. Hopefully I got the right address. And when I went to the doctor, I thought, oh, I'm going to have lost weight. No. The only thing I can think of is at Christmas when I was eating Christmas desserts and cookies and baking bread every week. And I know Mark does not know how to make pizza at all. Oh, good, Pat. See? Every once in a while, these brains do kind of pick up. But the spaghetti we're going to add real basil and Italian sausage, a few ingredients that I normally hadn't used. But anyway, okay, so going back to it, but my weight was higher than it was last time. And I couldn't figure it out because I've really been trying. But the only thing I think happened is I gained more over Christmas than I thought. So, Palermo. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Mark's grandfather was from Campobasso, up in northern Italy, and evidently he wasn't such a nice character either. But thank goodness that wore off before it got to Mark. But anyway, so she said, we really should try one of these weight loss drugs for you. And I don't know, I doubt I'm going to be able to afford them. It means giving myself a once-a-week shot, but I've got to do something. I am finding more and more it hurts to walk. It hurts my hips. It hurts my lower back. So I've got to lose this weight. By the time you get to be my age, you can't keep carrying this extra weight. So I'm going to, if I can afford it, I'll give it a try. Otherwise, I've told Mark I'm back to the elliptical trainer twice a day. I'm just going to, buckle down that much more. But I've got to get moving. Carrying weight is tricky. When you're heavier, moving around is not as easy, which then keeps you from losing the weight. You know what I'm saying? And I've got to do something about it. It's too much for me. And she keeps, she has kept urging me. And I have to honestly say, I'm down to one meal a day and a snack. I got to say, my body. I was told years ago, my family doctor, when I was like 18, he said, you're going to be 200 pounds. Be careful. Sure enough. And then I was told by another doctor that my body's extremely efficient. He said, well, if we ever have, what do you call it when you don't have a famine? He said, if we ever have a famine, you'll survive. And I thought, I appreciate that, but this is not what I want. So I am diabetic. Oh, thank you, Mayor. Oh. They advertised the pink salt trick. I don't know about that. Oh, thank you, Miss Bonnie. Oh, it's just so frustrating. And so right now, the doctor's office has submitted it to my medical insurance. Luckily, I have the Medicare plus a Medigap, and that the X pays. And so hopefully I can get it, because I've got to do something. She said, even if it's expensive, if you can just get your weight loss started on it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I'm not getting it done on my own. And it gets to the point where you go, how long do I want to live? And it is affecting my health. So all in all about that, she wants to run just a couple little tests, but we're going to be fine. And I just keep plugging away. But I've got so many quilts to finish that I've got to be around just a touch longer. I said, I want to get some of these quilts done. So, okay, so now I've told you about the last week and the colonoscopy. Let me tell you what. At 9:30, 10 o'clock that night, my stomach said, I've had enough prep. And my head was over the sink. It was not fun. But then from midnight to 3:30, I kept going. But I had to take it slower. Slow down. But anyway, I got to show you this because I'm just so excited about it. See this? So that's coming up today. I can't wait. All right. I have been so productive this week. These past 2 weeks. And I cannot thank you enough for this break. I hope you can tell it really did me good. And, but I love y'all so much because it keeps me focused. It gives me a schedule. It gives me the reason to get up in the morning and get busy. And I love it. And plus, I just love spending time with all of y'all. And I feel like even though we only meet virtually, I feel like I'm friends with each of you. And you mean the world to me. So I got a lot of sewing. I try. It's so funny. I get the urge to sew at 5 p.m. every day. And Mark's like, why 5 p.m.? You know, we're just thinking about dinner and stuff. And luckily, if I make the big dinners ahead and freeze them, he is very happy to reheat them, do whatever finishing touches. But I have been working like a fiend on my daughter's wedding quilt. It's only 16 years late. And this year, I'm really getting stuff done, and it feels good. It makes me feel like I really have a purpose. So I just wanted to show you how nice and flat these lay. And because I'm a better sewer, a better piecer, and as my dad used to say, if all else fails, read the instructions. And so I was still having a little bit of a problem. I just grabbed a whole handful of these just to show you they lay so beautifully. It's like, wow. Because last time, oh my God, I've had to tear some of them out. And if I'm going to need them, I'm going to have to piece little slivers of extra fabric on every segment to make them the right size. And I also found that if you want the key to sewing on a curve, you have to pin here, here, and in the middle. And you can just finger press the fabric, press a crease, and then you know to put the crease right on the seam allowance line. If I try to do it without pinning, it gets off. If I pin it, it works smoothly. So I've never been one to be much of a pinner. That's why I'm not a good piecer. I'm always in a hurry and I'm sloppy. But this shows, have a 1/4 inch foot on there, pin just like they suggest. They do it for a reason, not just to make you mad. So then I want to show you how much better these look. These look so much better, because I went into the instructions and he said exactly where to pin. You have to line these. The extra piece now has the 2 end pieces, okay, that are going to make a little 4 patch in between all of these melons. And he told me exactly where to pin it. Let me see, I've got the book right here. And definitely follow the instructions about exactly where to pin. So all these little things that I blew past so many years ago. Now, I will say, in my defense, I was making her wedding gown, my dress, and a bridesmaid's dress. Okay, so I was a little busy, but anyway, but this is what is so, so important. Pin, pin, pin. I love this John Flynn book. He's an engineer who was a bridge designer, bridge builder, and he just breaks it down to doable chunks. So, good thing. Melanie's here! And my monkey Mary, I saw her and I don't think I said hi. Barbara Smith is here. This is wonderful. Oh, wow. So, okay. Then another thing I did, and let me tell you what, ladies, because I love y'all so much, I made myself finish this. This flower right here. This is the flower. Let me come under my close-up screen. This is the flower that used the straw. And so you took and you did a chain on, or, you know, when you wrap the thread around your finger to put it on like a knitting needle. This did that same stitch, but on a straw. The first straw I used was a pretty thick straw, and it made the loops so big that it just was really sloppy. Now, if you can find this design on the YouTube channel, that woman's flowers are impeccable. Impeccable. But I was cussing on this flower. I was so mad. It was so hard to do. The original one with the bigger straw looked terrible. I cut it all off and redid the whole thing with a smaller straw. So these are the 3D images. Oh, thank you. But I tell you what, it's made me crazy. There's a problem. Oh, hello from Ukraine, Svetlana. Oh, it's so good to see you. And we've got our Ukrainian flag up. It will stay up until the invaders leave. So these are all 3-dimensional. And I thought, how cool. There's a problem with 3-dimensional. Since they stick out, and oh my gosh, I've missed you all so much. And oh, it's so good to see everyone. Oh, y'all are the best. And but since they stick out so much from the surface, the thing that makes them look cool is the thing that makes them too fragile. They can easily be pulled and stretched. So what I've had to do with some of them is tuck them in and put a little glue under them. Because I thought, oh my gosh, I would accidentally catch a needle and it would start to like unravel a little bit. And trying to get it to go back into place is not an easy thing. So then I saw this flower right here on, I saw this flower online and thought it was so cute. What this is these are spokes, but I left the center open. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4 spokes. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after you put the spokes, and a spoke is just a straight line, then you take a contrasting color and put a little stitch across each spoke out near the end, but in between 1/4 and 1/8 inch from the end. So then once you have the spoke and this cross stitch, then you come in with a contrasting color and you just go under and around and under around and make these little flower tips. And then I filled in with French knots. And I have found I was always a horrible French knot maker, but I found the secret watching all of this. When you wrap the thread twice around the needle and put the needle back in, hold on to that while you're pulling the thread. Hold it in place, then pull in your thread. And that way you get even French knots. So I've had a lot of practice on this when doing French knots. But I love this flower I can do. But I'm going to warn you, as cool as these look, I think they would have to be in a frame with glass on the top. Laura, hi, sweetheart. Oh, I love y'all welcoming Svetlana so good. Gosh, that's so nice. And this is the nicest group. So this is done. I don't know if I'm going to try to find an old hoop and glue it in, or whether I'm going to go ahead and just frame it behind glass. I'm worried I've got a few little beads. Will it even fit behind glass? But now, let me come back to the main screen and hold it up in a different way so you can see it. All right. Whoops, the lampshade's gonna acting up there. All right, so here it is. Let me get in a little closer. And I signed it and put the year. Now, Miss Bonnie, if this is going to make you ill, you might want to close your eyes. But look at the back of that. When I first started this, I tried to do all the little tricks of keeping the back neat and tidy. I gave up on that real soon because it was hard enough to do the front without worrying about the back. And honestly, if you come to my house and you take this out of the frame to check the back, I'm going to hit you. I'm just going to hit you. So anyway, there it is. I'm very tickled. I wish I knew the name of the woman who made this design. And I was very inspired by it. It changed up a few things, but it was a wonderful design. So this is now done. And that's what I'm loving. I'm loving getting this stuff done. So last week, 2 weeks ago, the last show, we were talking about prosperity hens. So I want to show you what I made. So with all this rain, Deb has had plenty of time. Do you see what I've got hanging here? I'm going to take them down so I can show you. But I told you I had made a string of these, and then my daughter came for a visit, and I said, do you want them? And so I didn't have them for me anymore. But I used a full 6 strand, doubled over, I think. No, maybe just single. To hold. I wanted to use burlap twine. It was too hard. It was too big to get through some of these beads and too hard to get through the prosperity hens because you go through their body. But I'm going to bring you back over to the close-up camera so I can introduce you to each of my hen girls. So let me get you back over here. I made sure to take my trimmer medicine today, so hopefully my hand wouldn't shake too much. All right, here we go. Let me bring the light closer over here again. All right. So I took and used a combination of beads, glass beads, wooden spacers, this cute little bead here. Oh, they are so easy to make, you wouldn't believe it. And okay, so here is my first little hen. And I've had this bag packed for 2 years and finally got around to making them. And see these cute little brass bells? That's the beak. I've got a little glass bead for the eye. Then I take some thread and make a little outline of a wing. And then I use the floss to make a fluffy tail. This is the way I started making them. The woman on the video that Marsha Han gave us, I liked how she did hers, but I just had done my last ones this way and wanted to keep going. And these little bells are just amazing. Love them, love them, love them. So just whatever kind of bead you want to put in between. And some of the wings, this thread doesn't really show that good. But I tried to, first I was going to make them just all colorful and willy-nilly. But then I found, no, that was hard to do. So I kind of custom made each one. But trying to use eyes that show. But here they go all the way down. And what I found is use fabrics that are kind of bright and simplistic. And a nice variety of colors. So that way you can really enjoy them. And I might have 18 on here. I was going to make 16, but I was having so much fun I kept going. Here are the beads down to the bell. Now, if you can find a smaller bell, I would do it. But that has a nice sound to it. I really like it. So here are my prosperity hens. I made them. I probably made about 4 hens per evening. So it took me a good probably 5 days to make it, but I love it. Love, love, love it. So now let me get it hung back up, because to me that's where it looks the best, is hung up. But I tell you the truth, I had so much fun getting all this stuff done. I'm gonna hang it up here with a safety pin so I don't lose it. And I love the little dinging on it. I haven't decided exactly where to keep it, but I love it. Now, for some of you who might be thinking about making your own prosperity hens, I saw the cutest. It was prosperity fish. And I thought, how cute is that? So, and you, oh wow, thinking about that, you could take sequins and make fish scales on the fish. I mean, you know, there's just, the sky is the limit. I do believe that this whole, the history of this is, pardon me, the history of the prosperity hens, I do believe it originated in India, and I love it. My daughter and I went to have lunch in Asheville, North Carolina, where Biltmore and all that stuff is. It's bohemian heaven. And we saw this little shop on downtown that had all kinds of prosperity hens, copper and brass and all kinds, beads from Africa. And Becky, my daughter, said, "Oh, Mom has found her mothership." And I was like, exactly, that was heaven for me. So it's nice, and I thought I might keep making them too. So we'll just see how it goes. All right, so got those prosperity hens, and you just save your scrap batting. Polyester is better, but you can use anything, and use your scraps, but try to find colors that, these were Allison Glass, I think. They were perfect for it. I just love it, because that bohemian style is to kind of have a rainbow effect in your little birds. And buying inexpensive embroidery floss makes making these very, very simple. And whatever little beads you can find, I started to say you can find them at Joann's, but you're going to have, you know, whatever little craft store. And they don't buy expensive beads. I happen to have these, but pony beads, plastic beads, it's just for color, and it just is supposed to make you smile when you look at them. So I don't know about prosperity, but okay. Now there's probably something else you see on the design wall that I finished, and that is our embellished and folded beach scape. I got this one all finished. And this, I tell you what, you notice on there's the narrow, there is our narrow strip sunset. I'm getting this done. You like how the tails look? Oh, thank you. I do too. They're just fuzzy and happy. So this I got finished, although Mark said, and he's right, I've got to add a little bit more lace or cheesecloth and kind of stretch out the froth line. He said it's very linear. I did take it loose and move it over this way, and it still comes across. I'm looking at that, it still looks straight. So I'll definitely add some more lace here to really round it out, because I moved it over good. I had to add some more blue fabric to it. But let me get the light over here. And whoops, might as well go back to my close-up camera, because that's what that does really well. So let me get back up to my close-up camera. All right, let's take a look at this puppy. Now, this came from an idea I saw online. I think it was a fake store because it had these pillows for like $19. And I'm thinking, how could that be? So what I did, but I like the idea that they manipulated the fabric. Look how this fabric is all scrunched and bent. And when I saw the pictures of these, I thought, I could do that. I could do that. And I want to tell you one thing that did work out really well. I had these crabs, and I had the crab in the darker color and the lighter color. I said, ooh, I could put this on the beach, but put the lighter color one in the water so it looks like it's in this shallow water. And guess what? It works. It really works. But and on the crab, I made this one claw, 3-dimensional. I love adding a little surprise to my work. Then in here, I've got pearls, I've got sequins, I've got little crystally kind of beads in here in the froth. And then here, more folding, manipulating the fabric to look like waves in the sand and footprints in the sand. I found these beads that had been from one of the a necklace that had these, remember these puka shells or whatever? And so I used those because the size was good. I found a fabric sand dollar and tucked it in. I found this one printed starfish, but made these two using the the Dorset button method. And one thing I did that I wish I could have done a little bit differently, but it looks better now. These were the same exact turtle. So what I did with that was, whoops, I just dropped something on the floor. Let me grab it. Okay. What I did, here was the original turtle. Here, I cut this little flipper loose. I cut this flipper loose and moved them to try to make these two look a little more different. And I wish I had done a little bit more. I wish I'd stretched this up just a little bit more. So in a way they look different, but I wish I had just pushed that envelope just a little further. These are all supposed to be baby turtles. And then these were the ones that were closer to the water. I don't know how well that works. They might be too different in size. But this was all I had of these fabric turtles. And I kind of tucked them in and under like this so you feel like they're hurrying to the water's edge. And I've got a seagull over here looking at them. And this crab with his claw up looking at him. I don't know what exactly eats sea turtles, but I think they're pretty, they're the chicken of the sea. Everybody wants to eat them. So this is finished. I used your color for the binding. As you can see here, I did the quilting. That was to echo the movements of the water and the sand. And I think the binding looks really good. I'm going to bring you back to the main camera so I can hold it up. I'm just so proud of myself because I said, you know what? I'm getting too old to have unfinished projects. Time's running low. So here is the manipulated fabric, the folded and scrunched and embellished fabric piece. And I did it. I learned from it. I'm not going to say it's my favorite. In fact, right now I like the narrow strip sunset better. But I'm glad I'm glad I'm pushing my skills. I'm pushing my creativity. And you will learn from everything you do. So don't ever consider it a waste because your skills have grown. And so there it is. But anyway, I was saying I just saw online pillows with this design and thought, let's check out what it's like to do that. One thing I've always wanted to do, well, let me hang this back on the design wall so you can check it out if you want. But one of the things that I've always wanted to do is find a way to do the face of an elephant and to use some kind of fabric enhancement to make it look like that the real elephant hide. So, this helps me realize that you can manipulate fabric to a great deal. But I was thinking, is there some kind of like some kind of finish that'll crackle, or to really give you that look? So it's been something that's always been in the back of my mind. Now, this week we're doing Tilda. I think it's Tilda Swinton, but Tilda's Kitschy Friends. But coming up, I saw this picture. I had saved it probably a couple years ago, or a year ago. Saved it and thought, how precious is this? And it goes with our theme of embellishing. That's all hand embroidery. So it goes with our theme of embellishing. And I thought that is so cute. So what I'm going to do is draw my own version of this and make a pattern, which I'll have free to offer y'all. But I thought, that is so cute. And I'm liking making, maybe 15 by 18. I'm liking that size. I don't have to make giant anymore, And this size, I can finish. I know I can finish. But isn't that cute? So if you want to start gathering your scraps, and all you need is, maybe I'll try to, I don't know if I'll have 7 or 8 birds, and just be looking at your colors, then gather any embroidery floss, any little beads that might work. I love the little wispy, it's just charming to see the little wispies. But I'm thinking too of maybe having a clothesline pole. I want to know what kind of line they're sitting on, so I want something, to the side. And I love it when quilts escape their little inset, so I don't mind having something that goes over onto the border. So I will do my own version of this and have the pattern ready for you, and that's what we're going to do. So now let me look at my list. I think I've gotten through this list pretty good. All right, prosperity hens, the fabric manipulation and embellishing. I need to find a better title for that. One hasn't come to me. The scrunched beach look. I don't know. Talked about my daughter's wedding quilt. Finished my 3D hand embroidery. Okay, so things we still have to do is this week's project, which when I saw it, it was adorable. I'm thinking my daughters might need one of these each too. So, but then when we get ready to go to show and tell, I have a few ideas for what class we can take in July. It'll probably be the second week in July. I'd like to avoid the whole July 4th thing. And I'm going to have you vote on what class you'd like to take. Okay, so now what I can do is show you this week's project. And I'm having a blast working on it. And it's Tilda's Kitschy Friends. I mean precious. And I'm going to put the pattern on here. You like that? Oh, that's a great idea, Bonnie. Use real cord too. Oh, Debbie, thank you for asking that. I will tell you. Okay, here, for those of you wondering, do I have to go buy an expensive pattern? Heck no, you're in Deb land now. And there is, I just put on the free shortcut for your free pattern. Okay? And I've got some little tips and things for you to think about and kind of make things easier for you. So I'm kind of going to walk you through this one. But Debbie had a very good question. How did I manage to manipulate the fabric on this beach scene and get them sewn so that the folds and the rolls stay? Okay. What I did is I used a muslin background. On the back of the muslin, I ironed on 2 layers of lightweight fusible interfacing, because you've got to give the fabric some body so that those scrunches and rolls don't flatten out. If they flatten out, you lose that effect. So this was trial and error. Trust me, Debbie, I was like, how do I do this? So I put 2 layers of lightweight fusible on the back of the muslin. Then I took and put the fabrics over on the front. And I'm trying to think, did I sew them down? I'm trying to remember. I put them on. Now remember, I laid the fabric down. I sewed along the edges to top and a little bit of one side. You can't really tack it down much because you need to have it loose and free. And the nice thing about having the little frothy wave line was it gives you a way to hide the connection between the ocean and the beach. So I took the fabric and I took 4 colors of blue. I sewed them together in this much larger piece, sort of in the shape that the blue was going to come out. Then I sewed it onto the base, or you can even just take the fabric itself and put 2 layers of interfacing. And then, I think that's what I did. I put the 2 layers of interfacing on the fabric and then sewed them onto the muslin base. I remember now. That was so 3 weeks ago, or actually it was a little bit more than that ago, over a month. But that's what I did. I had the muslin laying there. I put the 2 layers of interfacing on the back of each of the fabrics, cut them out to a very large version of what they were going to end up being. And then I took and would scrunch and then stitch. Okay, run it through my sewing machine and stitch a scrunch down. Try to use matching thread. Then I'd scrunch some more, come sew under that. So it was just a matter of tacking the scrunchies down without flattening them, which also means iron your fabric really good first, because then after that you don't want to iron it. If you do, you're going to lose the rolling feel of the water. So, but that's what I did, and it was tricky. It was hard because I needed it to move, not just scrunch up, but also to kind of bend and move. And the sand, the same thing with that. I wanted it to bend because you have the flat area of the sand just inside, just at the edge of the water line, but then the sand starts getting ripply and all of that. So I had to kind of contort that fabric, which means you've really got to stitch it down to a nice firm base like muslin. And you can even, you know what, and that's a good way to have interfacing on the back of the muslin too. But let me see if I can show you again. It was, as you can see, I've had a little blood work, little tiny bruises, but everyone was so good to me. Okay, can you see these edges? And if you see how they're sewing under there, so I would push it up, sew a little bit, then scrunch it some more, sew just where I needed to hold the scrunch in place. And then with the sand, I did the same thing. This was smoother. This is where I took and did hand embroidery stitches to look like sand and pebbles, little French knots and lines. But then when it got around here, and this had 3 different fabrics, so it would go from darker to lightest. And I would just scrunch, and you can see under some of these scrunches, you can see sewing lines. And in between here, where you've got this crease, there's a sewing line. So it's just, you scrunch it into place, you hold it there, you quickly at least make 1 anchor stitch, and then you can come back in and sew it. I tried very hard not, now here where I wanted it flatter, I made a roll kind of thing and then came and flattened it out with some stitching. So it is trial and error. I have never done something like this. I've never seen a school where they teach you to do this, but it was fun. And at first, when I was doing this beach, because I made it scrunch around the corner, oh, it looked like a mess. I thought, how am I going to get this under control, because it is a hot mess right now. But anyway, but there, it was fun, but I'm not sure it's something I'm going to want to do much of. But if I wanted to make a gift to someone, then what did I do with those pins? I guess, here they are. So let me hang this back up. But that was a very good question. And in some places you can try a little bit of glue, but when you're doing the scrunching of the fabric, you really need to stitch it, not glue it, because it kind of, fabric will fight you a little bit on some of this scrunching. You know, it's like, hey, I didn't plan on being scrunched. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit of an idea. But those are very, very good questions. All right, so here we are at Kitschy Friends, Tilda, and oh my gosh. Now, I'm going to come back to the close-up camera again because I want to show you some important things, some little hints and tips that I'm going to give you to make your doll making a little easier. It's not a hard doll, but you have to keep a few things in perspective. Doll making can be real tricky, especially when you have big arthritic hands like I do. It's hard sometimes to make your hands do. I'll never forget my wonderful godmother, Barbara. God, I miss her. Barbara Walker. She would make Barbie clothes, the most exquisite Barbie clothes. And that's something I never wanted to do. It's like, oh, how do you do that? But she was amazing. All right, so let me push this back and let me bring the camera down and show you some important parts of this pattern. Because last night, everything I've made up until just a few minutes ago, I had sewn by hand because I wanted to sit in the living room with Mark, and here is the paperwork for the class that I'm going to take. I can't wait to show you that. But I'm going to be really diving into curves. So, after I take my classes, I share what I can with y'all. Okay, so here is, I just thought this was so cute. I thought, oh my gosh, I love the little hair. She's got her little cleaning scarf on. I love the way the stockings turn into shoes. And these skinny little arms. I just think that in this flower button, how darn cute is that? So, okay. So it shows you what size fabrics to cut, and it gives you a color key. I mean, the fabrics Tilda uses is just amazing. But I go to my stash and I pull out some of my old calicos. It's so funny. I always thought, oh, I'm not a calico girl. But now, they come in handy sometimes, let me tell you. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down and show you things like this. This is what makes this doll easy. when you look, see the doll head? It's in a flesh tone because this is going to be the front. This is going to be the doll body. Okay? Now, what it shows you is sew these two fabrics together, press the seams open. Open. Then, after you've sewn these two together, then take your drawing. And it comes with a pattern page. Let me show you. Whoops, I cut apart this one. Let me get my other one, show you the pattern page. It comes with a pattern, and they say, if you can, put it on hard stock, like card stock or something, but you don't really have to. If you wanted, you could print out two pattern pages and then glue them together. But let me show you this. Okay, here's a pattern page. Here's a pattern page. So it's all right here. Okay, and it tells you how many of each to cut out. And okay, now, so once you cut the pattern out and you have these fabrics sewn, you put on the top, you draw a line around the pattern. And then you stitch around it, then cut it out, leaving a seam allowance. That is because when you're dealing with little tiny shapes, sizes, I think it's keeping this a little washed out. I want you to be able to see it good. That, like, okay, her scarf. Let me get my little kitschy friend. This scarf is just, you take the flat piece of head, which I happen to have one. This would be the face. And you just draw the lines on here. Take a triangle of fabric, stitch it on, flip it back. So you put right sides together, stitch, and flip it back, like you would do a half square triangle. Then this part is separate, and you make a front and back, stitch them, turn them inside out, tie a little knot, and stitch it down to her head. And then try to get this to kind of, it's cutest when that bow stands up like that. So I just wanted to show you, I cut them out. Like here is one of my leg pieces. I cut it out, but what they recommend you do is you have the leg fabric. It uses more fabric, and some of my pieces were a little skimpy, but they have you, let's show you that. So here it shows them making the little scarf thing, and the back of the head is going to be the scarf fabric, because the scarf fabric would hold it all together. So here we go with this. Then you take and sew it shows two layers of fabric, front and the back together. Now here are the legs. So instead of cutting this out separately, what they have you do is sew. This is going to be the boot fabric. This is the legging fabric. Sew it, open that seam allowance, iron the seam allowance open. Then draw the legs on. Okay? Then stitch them both, then cut them out with a seam allowance. So you see they left enough in between to have a seam allowance. That is really smart because it's very hard to sew a very narrow strip of fabric like that. One thing you've got to make sure when you make this cute little doll, please make sure that you use a tiny stitch, like 1.5 or 1.8, okay? And then here is the flesh color. Then they take, these are the arm patterns, and see how they've laid them, and it's 2 layers thick because you have to have front, back, just like with the legs, front, back, front, back. But here are the arms. Now I made an arm, but I sewed it all by hand because that's just what I wanted to do. And I left enough room right here to make a little thumb. because it really bothers me when I see a hand without a thumb. I mean, if you didn't have your thumb, then that's just a flipper, not a hand. So, but you see what I'm saying? By sewing this, cutting it out with a seam allowance, it makes it smooth and flat and easy. All right. So now you've got the body. Then she has you put the arms, she has you sew the entire body with no arms on it. Then take the arms, once you've sewn them and stuffed them, take the arms and put the opening over the shoulders and then stitch them, whip stitch them into place. Well, that bothered me because I feel like that by having the arms fabric inserted into the body fabric, you have a little bit of motion and it makes a sturdier seam. So that's what I did. I left the arm placement holes open. I hand sewed below and above and below and left that open. When I get my next arm fit in there, then I will stick it in, come from inside and stitch it across either by hand or by machine. Then these cute little sleeves are made. Let me see, where is my next sleeve? I brought it down. Oh, here it is. You cut a rectangle. I took glue and glued down an 1/8 or 3/8 of an inch hem, top and bottom of this sleeve. I sewed it first together along the seam. When actually first I glued the hem, then sewed the seam. Make it easy. Then you take a nice sturdy thread and make a drawstring, and you put it on the arm and you draw it up to make the gather. And the same thing for the bottom. Put a nice knot on the other end and then draw it up, and then you have a puffy sleeve. So these aren't sewn in place, so they just need to be drawn up again. But they make a cute, cute sleeve. So, and then I'm going to take the sleeve and just gently whip stitch the sleeve in place like that. And then this, I took the fabric and lightly glued. I took it, it was probably about this big, and I glued under on each side about 1/4 of an inch. Glued it all the way down and made sure I had the right size. Then took a sturdy thread and did a gather stitch down the middle so it turned into a ruffle, then stitched it, hand stitched it in the center on her blouse. So, okay, now the rest of her body is going to have this piece sewn. This will be sewn into this. Then the legs that I have will be sewn into the bottom of this body. Let me pull it out so you can kind of see what I mean. Let's see, let me get this up a little more. Okay, so I wanted her dress to be 2 different colors. Her skirt is going to be out of this fabric. That's why I made the ruffle out of this, but the body and the bodice are out of this real pretty light burgundy whatever color. And then, so this is her body, and then her legs are attached to this. Then I'll come along with this, and it's going to show me how to pleat. And I will then come and sew this right along this seam line. Sew it right over it so she's got a nice little skirt, and then the legs and her shoes will hang out from that. So this is going to be my little girl, and these need to be sewn together, right sides together. And in fact, I've got one right here already sewn. Now this, I don't know about you guys, but this is the problem that I have most of the time. It is, you come along and clip anywhere there's curve. That makes it easy. And if there's an extra wide piece of seam allowance, just nip that off. You don't want too much down in the little shoe. In fact, I'm going to nip off these corners, and I'm staying a couple threads away from the stitching. And oops, here's the stitching. I saw some little dots and thought, no, the stitching's closer. And just make sure you still have your little clips. Now, this is the hardest part to me, is you've got to take this fabric and you've got to try to, this is what gets hard. Let me bring you in closer now. But this is what gets hard when you have, let me move it. Hold on, let me get near the light. Okay, so this is what's tricky to me. I have been using a bamboo skewer, which I also like to use as a stiletto, because if your needle hits it, you're not as likely to damage your machine. But this is the tricky part right here, is getting the fabric apart enough. There. Oh, I just got it. Yay. Y'all are bringing me good luck. So bring the fabric apart enough to start shoving the toe of that boot back up the leg. And get it going a little bit before you let go to put a push stick in it. Because trust me, if you let go too soon, oh boy. So, okay. There we go. Now, I just looked at something over here that might just work. Look at this big plastic. It's a big sturdy straw you like put balloons on. Let me see if I can get this up here. You want something that's not too pointy. Do not drive the pointy end of the stiletto in, because it will rip your seam allowance open. But let me see if I put the straw where against me and then try to gently. This is always the part I dislike the most about doll making. But once you get it going, then that's easy. And then I'll show you, give you some hints on, once you turn it, how do you poke out all the fabric? You have to be very careful. That's when a lot of good sewing goes bad, because if you poke through the end, then you've got to put it back inside out, start again. You've got to have it stitched. Start again. All right, here we go. Oh, we're doing good now. We're doing good. We're doing good. Yay. This straw has made it very easy. And it's blunt on the end, so it won't. Now this is, okay, I should have done this a little differently. You've got to keep the fabric moving down, or else you just end up with a very tight blob. Okay, let's see. Come on, come on. What I'm going to do, I think, is try to pull it out. Take the straw out. There we go. Go ahead and pull it out. Take some of the stress off. Whoops. I popped a seam. I didn't get that seam close enough. I will just whip stitch that by hand. It's not worth turning back inside. But now, I want to get this boot. I want to get this boot fully turned. For one thing I do is I put that straw back in, and I use my fingernails and I press the seam, okay? Press the seam all the way up. And what I'll do for this is just tuck it back together, hold it like this with the edges tucked back in, and I'll whip stitch carefully along here, okay? Then I'll put some fray check on that just to make sure it holds really good. But now I've got this straw going back inside. I'm going to take that straw and just work with it to just, you know, squidge it around, trying to get that fabric to open up. Then I will take an old, not very sharp pin, and I will very carefully reach in and gently, I have that needle in at least 1/4 of an inch. I will gently pull this out until I can see those stitches right there. Okay, so now look, now you've got a nice end. And you can go on either side of this, make sure it's fully pulled out, which that is. Okay, so now we covered that. Next comes, how do you stuff these skinny little things? Well, I'm going to have to be careful because I haven't sewn this back together yet, but I could put a narrow little pin. You know what I could do? Let me get a little bit of my glue. Let me get a little bit of some tacky glue and just, whoops, and just run some tacky glue. Whoops, come on. These lids don't work that good on the tacky glue. Have you noticed that? They just, okay. So let me put a little line. You don't want to put heavy glue. The reason is it is hard as heck to sew through heavy glue. Alright, I'll put the lid back on before I put it away. Crunch that, try to make that lid snap on. If you do that, then you won't have as much of a problem with it drying up in there. But, because they will kind of give you a little snap if they're fully closed. Okay, so I'm just tucking in, very gently tucking in the seam allowance. Putting these together. Alright, whoops, come on, go back down there. Alright, then I'm just going to hold it for just a second. Now this is not going to hold enough to be the fix. I will come back in and do some little tiny little whip stitches. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, so I've got the toe good. I've got this temporarily held till I whip stitch it. Then make sure both seams, make sure I run my fingernail down, or if you have a bone folder, or let's say you don't have a bone folder, get a clothespin. They work really well. And just go down that seam, because this is your only chance to get that seam nice and flat. Flip it, and you see how much better that looks? Now flip it over to this side. Do the same thing to this side. Just run that clothespin along the seam, making sure it's open and flat. Alright, there we go. So I like to give you as many tips as possible. Now I'm going to come back to the bamboo skewer, and I'm going to take just a small piece, because see how narrow that is? The biggest mistake people make is they get a big old hunking piece of it, and then they can't get it to slide down. It starts getting all bunchy. And in fact, I noticed that my arm that I made for this doll is not as smooth and pretty as the Tilda arm. So that means I probably did do a little bit too much pushing hard. There are two different schools of thought. You can either really stuff something, or you stuff it just enough. And I think with these dolls, mostly these are just going to be hung up and decorate your sewing area. I don't think they'll be played with. I don't plan on playing with it. So I didn't have to stuff quite so much. So see now it's nicely filled out foot. Okay, it's a nicely filled out foot. Now I come back and get another piece. Now sometimes if you would string a long narrow piece, you could put a little bit more in at a time. But the biggest mistake is for you to take a big ball of stuffing and try to start shoving it down in. That is not good. I'm going to try this straw again, because that straw has a nicer tip to really grab stuff. You just kind of try to get it in the stuffing and see if you can push it down. And just try when you push it not to have it too lumpy. You don't want a series of balls. So it's pushing the stuffing in. And like now I've got it all in the fabric. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and push the end down first. You don't push from up here to force it down in. You push it from starting from here. Just pushing it gently and gently. And eventually the whole piece will move down. But that's the difference in stuffing properly and then stuffing something to be terribly lumpy. And if you try to stuff too big of a piece at once, it won't go, it just won't move. It'll just get bound up in there, and that's that. I'll go back to the straw again. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put the straw in, move past, leave the other stuffing where it is, move past to go down here to where the first part of it is, and then move that one through. And get another little piece. And that's why if you're afraid that this would be too fussy for you, then just use small amounts at a time. But if you use a long strand, you're going to have to do it a little bit at a time so you don't end up with great big lumps and bumps. This is not a fast process. This takes a while. This can kind of get, you know, It's good to have an audio book on or TV show that you enjoy. And I'm going to try one thing. Let me see if I can find them. Chopsticks are good to do this. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to try some hemostats. Now, I don't know, this might just be more trouble than it's worth, but let's see. Because I can grab it and then push it down. Grab the very end. See, there's nothing here, and here's the end of my hemostat. So I went past the big blobs of stuffing, went right to the closest stuffing to the end. Oh, this is working very nicely. And actually with that glue, if it holds, it'll actually make the whip stitching easier to have the stuffing in there. Alright, so I'm just grabbing a piece of this stuffing and just pushing it down. Okay, let's see. Oh, all right. I'm getting there, but you know what? It just takes a while. This is why you have to make your seam allowance so small. Or sew it by hand and just make sure. Most of my seams I sewed crossed one way and then came back and sewed the next way, trying to use the smallest hand stitches I could. Oops, now I gotta be real careful. This is where that glue is. I'm gonna pull back a little bit of it. I'm gonna try to bypass and go to the very, yeah, now let me see. Let me see if I can push this past. It really does want to log jam. You know what I mean by log jam. It really wants to. That is tricky. I'm going to take those out and try to put this little bamboo skewer in. And this is the biggest reason why I'm not a professional doll maker. This part is the hard part. Oh. And see, I've worked so hard not to have a log jam, and now I've kind of got one. So what I'm going to do, just keep coming right along the edge of the fabric, bypassing the majority of it, and then just grabbing little, trying to shove little bits of that log jam up to break that up. If not, if you end up with a log jam that you just can't break apart, you've got to stick your hematocrits or what are these, hemostats back in, stick them back in and pull the log jam out. But I'm going to stand this up on the table, see if I can just push some of it. I think if you make this doll, when you're working on these narrow parts, just use little pieces at a time. Because, I think I got it. I think I finally got it. Okay. Keep trying to go past the bigger amount and just shove the first part. Because you don't want it to be all lumpy. So just enough to keep it from being lumpy. Alright, so the log jam is cleared. I still have stuffing. Let me try the straw this time, because I still have stuffing along the way. Oh, just pushed in. So easy. Okay, so the narrower parts are definitely harder. But there is making a leg. Then once I get the legs completely stuffed, I will stitch across the top here. Then they will go, I'm trying to think of how I do these so they'll be inside. What she did is have the dress right side out. She turned, so she had the body, this is not the dress, this is the body. She turned it right side out. Then what I would do is take a little bit of glue to hem up, like this much, just 1/4 of an inch hem. Glue it, glue it, glue it, glue it. Do the same thing for up here, because then you can stitch it on the rest by hand. And looks like she took the 2 different pieces and stitched them together ahead. I don't know, I don't see a seam allowance here, but with the parts I was given, there has to be a seam allowance there. So, oh, I know, maybe the body and the dress were 2 totally different things. Alright, so this is, if you have these glued in, then what you're going to do, so this would be tucked, already hemmed, like that. So then you would stick in the leg and you stitch. Okay? So, and then I guess once this is all, then once you put the legs in, you stuff it, then you stitch this to this. Okay? And then I will come along with my beautiful blue dress and I will do the same thing. I will glue a hem down each side, which will be the top and the bottom. Then you'll fold it like this. You'll stitch this line together. You will then, after it's stitched, you will press the seam allowance open. Okay? Press the seam allowance open. This will already have been hemmed, and then you it shows you how to do 2 little darts. See, I've already got the ruffle on her, and you just stitch that. And so then I will bring the dress up to here, up to the ruffle, and hand stitch it in place. Okay? But you can always just take and do a hem stitch with the machine. That's not a problem. Then here is your finish, which is making her some little puffy sleeves, which I think are so cute. And then here are the touches. Now, I have some copper wire. I don't know I wish I had like some red wire or blue wire, because I'm going to make some real eyeglasses to put on her. And all you have to do is you can stitch them on if that's what this pattern calls for, but I think I'm going to make some little wire eyeglasses to put on. Then what you do for her eyes is you take a ball pen like this, you dip it in black paint, acrylic, or I don't know if you can get a black marker to come off of this, but once you have the paint on the tip of the pen, then you will already have marked where you want your eyes. You come in here with the pen, you dip it in black, put it on, dip it in black, and dot it on, and make her little eyes. But make sure you already have them marked where you want them to go. But you can, and then I'm going to take some embroidery floss and make her some hair down here, and some hair up here, little straight stitches, and then the eyes, and I'm going to see if I can make little wire glasses for her. If not, I'll get a cute floss and do little running stitch, make her some glasses. The last thing that she gets is a nice big flower like this one. And so you sew these two pieces together, right sides together. You stitch around them. The opening, instead of leaving an opening on the outside edge, look what you cut first. So you've already got this, and you're going to turn this flower. You sew it all around, then you use this slice, turn it inside out, press it, and in fact, how does it, I think I must be missing one of the pattern pieces, because how does my flower become flower shaped? Let me see, where is the page that had here? Oh, I am missing a piece. This is the center circle. I need to cut this out. So I've got this wrong, because I was thinking instead of having just that circle, I was thinking it might be cute to have a big button like one of these to be the center of the flower. So, but just decide whichever way you want to make a cute little flower. This you turn inside out too. They did say if you wanted to use all fabric for the flower, you could put a little stuffing inside this once you've turned it. So that goes on her, and then there she is. She is ready to go. I just think it's so cute. I just absolutely love this little doll. So, and if this goes well, then I've got another, a Tilda, I think it's a goose, maybe? Or is it a bunny? And I thought, well, let's see how this one goes, and then I will know. So, anyway, I hope that gives you a few hints and ideas. And, but how nice of her to make these patterns available for free. I just love that. Alrighty, so I think she's going to be a real cutie once I finish everything with her, and I think I love her 2-color outfit, so I think that'll be nice. Alright, Mark said, I thought you would use some of those bright and fun colors, and I said I intended to, but it didn't quite work out that way. I guess I tend to be too traditional sometimes, but I'd like to make one each for my daughters, and I think for that I will go ahead. I'm going to find them some young fun colors. So let me find my mouse. It's here somewhere. Come on, mouse. That's the only problem I have with this is, let me see. Okay, let's see. Where is, oh, I think I found it. Yay. Okay. Okie dokie. All right. Here we are. All right, so I wanted to take enough time. I hope I didn't bore you with that, but I wanted to take enough time to really show you you can do it. And for me being a little bit clumsy, being able to draw the pattern, sew it on a big rectangle before I cut it out, that'll make things very easy. For me, sewing it by hand made it a little more approachable, because it's hard sometimes with little tiny shapes to get them under that sewing needle on the machine. So do whichever works. In fact, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from Jenny Beyer, who is my idol, was if, like, let's say you have trouble with a Y seam, do it first by hand. Baste it by hand, then come back with machine. It's so much more approachable when it's just you and your hands. So give that a good shot. Well, let me see if y'all have anything to say, and then I've got some photos to show you. So, oh, take care, Bonnie. Sorry, I probably missed saying goodbye to her. Ah, a doll maker's bodkin. What a great idea. Somewhere around here I have a bodkin about this long. Thank you for that. Oh, it does remind, I can see where it would remind you of Eunice. That's so cute. And, Mary's been using a pointed tweezer gently. Very good. Pulling several strands of yarn to get it through. Oh, I love that idea. Just stitched a little yarn at the tip. Oh, I love that idea. All right, y'all are so cute. That's great. All right, so let's go and see what we have. I love this program. I can't thank Martha enough for teaching me how to use the OBS program. It makes it so easy. All right, I'm going to bring up this picture. Okay, and let me come dock it in place. I almost feel competent when I use this program. All right, now let me bring this bigger. This is the quilt class that I am taking for the Mancuso Virtual Schoolhouse. Mancuso, I love them so much. When you compare what you'll spend for the class with what you would spend going to a venue, staying in a hotel, the gas, food, all that, you can stay right home in the comfort of your home with all of your supplies. There's no forgetting what you need because you're right at home. So I'm just so grateful. So I signed up for this one, and the templates come to you on the US letter size, because that saves you from having to go to an office supply store and paying to have a large, something large and printed out on their oversized printers. So this is what I'm going to learn to do. Now, I don't know if you realize this or not. This is only 2 colors of fabric. There is no gray. They call charcoal the black color. Charcoal and snow. But there's no gray. This is just 2 colors. And then what's really neat is they do some very fine quilting. A bunch of fine straight quilting across, which actually adds to the optical illusion feeling. So I'm looking forward to taking this. Okay, so now I'm going to push escape. Okay, close this down. Oh, I just wanted to tell you too, my sparrow quilt is still being worked on. I just slowly, every few days, pick it up and applique down some more leaves. I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be a beauty, I think. I'm so lucky. So, okay. Now, Alberta did these wonderful table runners or bed runners, and I love them. And here is this one. I love that. Okay, let's see who else. Miss Betty Meisner did such a good job. You know, one thing I'm sad about is Betty Meisner does the best fish. And I'm sad that I've never done one of her amazing fishes. This is her Donna Jordan memorial quilt, which I dearly love. I think that is so great. Okay, now let me... All right, let's see who else we have. I have to write Miss BB. I miss chatting with her. Okay, I've got to show you something really, really cute. And let me see. Oh, here is a close-up of my... This is my quilt while it was in progress. So I just thought you could see it up close and some of the stitching and stuff just to show you. All right, now let me pull back out of this. Okay, I get a story sent to me in my Washington Post subscription where they call it The Optimist. And it's good news stories that are out in the country, just to remind me that the world is a great, big, beautiful place, and 90% of the people are wonderful people. Well, this is the cutest little bear. Was found out above San Diego, and I think it was by the side of the road, or no, near the woods, and it was crying. They don't know what happened to its mother. And so they brought it in. It was just a wee little thing. It wasn't that old. They brought it in to the San Diego Humane Society Wildlife Division, and they are now taking care of this sweet little bear cub. Here they have to dress. I know this looks a little scary, but they dress in fur coats. That is one thing you can do with a good fur coat. And a bear type mask, because they don't want this cub to attach to humans. That would mean the death of this cub, because once they get attached to humans, they don't know how to be afraid and avoid humans. But you can see how they put branches in, trying to make everything look like what she might experience. Branches, tree branches. I love this little rope covered thing for her to climb, and plenty of mink coats and fur coats there to climb on. Then here, when they first brought her in, look how tiny she was. She was so tiny and vulnerable. And they have camouflage leaf kind of clothing on, so that she doesn't, right from the beginning, she doesn't recognize humans. They have masks on to keep her safe. People have donated big teddy bears, and it's just wonderful. And just to let you know, she has gained over 10 pounds since she's been with them, and they hope to release her back to the wild in 1 year. So isn't that wonderful? I love those kind of stories. They make me happy. So, okay, let's see who else is next. And let's see, I'm going to need some new pictures if anyone has a chance or is working on something. And here we have block number 16 for our Mary. Look at what a fabulous job she has done. And I think this was her first ever English paper piecing. And don't worry, Miss Mary, I'm going to go back and finish that up because I'm anxious to start a brand new project. Can't wait. Okay, now let's see who else. Marcia sent us some great photos of things she's working on. These are really cute. and it's, I think, pretty sure it's a free pattern. They're friendship stars, but done in a circle like that in rainbow colors. Could it get any better? I love that. Love, love, love it. So she sent us her pictures of that. I love how she put them on a curtain rod so it becomes an art object on the wall. Beautiful, beautiful. Here's a pin cushion she made. I just love making pin cushions. And if you're not allergic, I love adding crushed walnut shells. And I only put them in the very top part where the needles, only put them in the top part where the very needles run through them. And then on the bottom, so I would fill it upside down, and on the bottom you can put batting scraps. So I love that. Then, oh, these were her flowers from earlier. Then she found her sister or something gave her one of her father's wooden pants hangers. Do you remember these that would clamp together to hold pants by the base, the cuff? And so she took that and decided to make a clothespin bag. And look at these cute yo-yo flowers. I just love this. And now she has something that's very useful, and every time she looks at it, she thinks of her father. So thank you, Miss Marsha Hahn. Oh, I was one more thing. I'm sorry. Don't want to rush. Look at this great fabric bowl she made. I've made one of these before, and it's like you make a great big flat rectangular piece, and then by methods of folding and flipping it over, you turn it into a container. Love that. Love, love, love. And I love she made some more yo-yo flower buttons for that. I love keeping buttons around because there's so much you can do with them. Now we have a bunch of great pictures from Miss Melanie. I love this. All right. This is her sweet dog, Willow. And Willow loves to sit right by her when she sews and will even fall asleep leaning against the machine. Isn't that wonderful? I love that. Everybody wants a friend like that. And then look at all of these. Let me see if I can turn these. Look at these wonderful little totes. I think they're IV bag carriers, if I remember. Feel free to correct me, Miss Melanie. Look at that face. Is that a face to love or what? She's 3 years old coming up this month. 3 years old. Look at her. Aw. What beautiful eyes. This was an ice storm, and look at this great picture they took of one of the linemen working out to repair the electricity during an ice storm. You know, we need to be very thankful for the people that keep us safe and warm. Isn't that great? Look at these. What dear people. Thank you for getting those pictures and giving them some credit. Look at this wonderful. I will make sure I didn't miss one. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Sometimes the photos will jiggle just a touch. Look at this great thing. I think this was one of the retreats that she went to, and this was on the wall. I love doing circles. We'll have to do another circle quilt soon because that's really great. Oh, look at this. It must have been a class you all took, making your own circles. I love it. And I love piano keyboarders. Here's a puzzle quilt. What fun is this? It's just doing squares, different size squares. Oh, I love this. You know, there's something we forget sometimes, but sometimes a 4-patch is an elegant little block. You can do so much with it. This is cute. I guess they were playing Evil Santa or whatever those things are called, but look at this cute lady. I love it. And, oh, maybe this is one of those bags, the IV holder bags. So Miss Melanie does a whole lot of volunteer work for the hospital. I love her machine embroidery. That's wonderful. I love it. Look at that bib. I wonder, ooh, that might be a chemo type cover for your shirt. Okay, but those are wonderful. Thank you, Miss Melanie, for all of those photos. Please send me your photos to my new email address. Hold on, guys. Is that Brenda? She's cute. Okay, can y'all remember who used to wear a hat with a price tag on it? Let's see if you remember. Rehab Bibs for Adults. I love that. That's great. My new email address is ourtime2quilt@gmail.com. Okay. There we go. Please send me pictures of your garden, pictures of your quilts, whatever you would like to share with us. All right, that was Melanie Meltum. Oh, it's been so nice to get back in touch with Meltum and Svetlana. But I just love Meltum's work. Her creativity, her artistic talent is really come to the surface. She's got a lot going for her. Here's a journal cover. I love it. There's so much, it's like the sky's the limit. Whatever strikes your fancy, yeah, she is great. Oh, that is just wonderful. Find your joy today. Wow, a joy journal. What a great idea. But look at this. It's kind of like crazy quilting. And, oh, I forgot I saved this in there because it's so beautiful that she got that done and sold. And it's now traveling in an exhibit. That's our Meltum. I just love that. All right, and SJ sent this wonderful sash she made for her daughter, who was for her graduation work, was doing a reenactment of suffragettes. And so she said, Mom, I don't have a banner. Her mom made her one. Isn't that wonderful? Wow. Okay. Now let's see. Then, yes, Miss Vicky, I bought some of this fabric because it was in this fabric line because it was so exotic and beautiful. And Miss Vicky had already had the fabric and made her daughter a curtain for a window with it. Isn't that gorgeous? It does have a Moorish Moroccan kind of feel. I love that. And I love this. Oh my gosh, is this me or what? Good job on this. And this was a way to practice her hand embroidery. And how cute is that now? Way to go, Miss Jo. Thank you for sending in these photos, and please feel free to send in more. Okay, and I think I can close this out. Okay. And the reason you'll see me chasing my cursor like I do is because I have two. In fact, I'll show you. I have two screens. So, well, actually three. So here's the camera that I use to film this on. Then here is my laptop that it streams from. And then here is my, oh shoot, what do you call it? It's a monitor that I bring up all of the close-up pictures on for you to see. So isn't that neat? It takes a lot to do all of this. And I just realized I had printed something out, and I'm not sure if I have it with me, but I finally, after 6 months, I finally got paid by YouTube. Are you ready to find out what 6 months of my labor on this channel was worth? $114. So, that's less than $20 a month. But if you will bear with me, Mark and I have some ideas of some things to kind of bump up viewership. And if nothing else, it covers some of the postage I have spent over the years when I mail things to people. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to make $114 in 6 months, because it's going to be used on good fabric or patterns. I know what it was. I told Mark, the class I'm going to get ready and take at the end of June through Mancuso was paid by you, the viewers. Thank you so much. So I know it's not much yet, but I want to give it a little bit longer. And I'm just not, I don't know much about the whole Patreon and stuff. I just love coming here, sharing what I love to do, and seeing what you create, because you always inspire me. So I want you to have a great week ahead. And yeah, there you go, Laura. I'll take that I'll take it for fabric any day. But thank you for spending this time with me. And hopefully when my garden picks up from the drowning rains, I will have some pictures of my garden for you. And take really good care of yourself. Do something special just for you. I want to go see a movie soon, so I better start checking out and seeing what movies are out there. But take good care. It's great spending time with you. Send your photos to me for our show and tell. Thank you so much. You are all just doll babies, and have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.